Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Game of Thrones episode 9 video. So much internal screaming this week. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet, and a new round of the giveaway starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So here we go. Let's begin the top 7 with Shireen Baratheon's story, The Dance of the Dragons. She's been so much fun this season, and she's one of the few characters that reads a lot. Apparently she also reads George R. R. Martin's side stories. That's what The Dance of the Dragons is. She completely explained it in the episode. It's all about the Targaryen Civil War. That tale provides the emotional core of the episode. You have like the dance that's going on in Daznak's pit, like the literal dance, people dancing around each other with swords. Then you have the internal dance that Stannis was talking about, a man fighting his true nature. He gives you a rare glimpse of what's going on inside his head. Do I sacrifice my daughter and become the man I was supposed to be? He looks like a ghost, and as hard as things have been on them, as winter's set in, it's also because he's been weighing the decision to sacrifice Shireen. If you haven't read that short story, it's a lot of fun. There aren't any spoilers in it for the main novels or the TV show or anything like that. It's completely separate. There's also the funny story about Balon Swan trying to hide behind this really pretty shield to fool a dragon. It totally not working. Obviously a nice hat tip to what happened with Drogon at the end of the episode. You could also look at it as an allegory to what's going on between the Boltons and Stannis' army right now. The Boltons trying to hide behind the Shield of Winter. Maybe what happened with Drogon at the end of the episode says something about what's going to happen with this Stannis-Ramsay plot. That's just a theory though. You could spend all day parsing imagery in Game of Thrones, but when a character like Shireen spends a long time explaining something, it's a big deal. So pay careful attention to what she said in this episode and what it might mean for the other characters on the show. On to number 6, Stannis sends Davos back to the Wall to get more supplies. It reminded me of the story of how Sir Davos became the Onion Knight first of his name. It's kind of like Bronn becoming the first Knight of the Blackwater. Two somewhat unknightly people helping out really rich people that raise them up to knighthood. Davos' story is just a little bit grander than Bronn's story. Way back during Robert's Rebellion, Stannis got stuck defending Storm's End. The opposing force just chose to starve him out. So slowly over time, Stannis just had everyone eat all the horses, all the animals. They started boiling their shoes. They started boiling leather and eating that. Slowly starving to death, Davos came in and brought them a bunch of onions. Like he smuggled in food for them. So Stannis would not be alive were it not for Davos. So that's why he made him the Onion Knight. And true to his word, Stannis, very fair man, cut off all of his finger joints on one hand. Stannis is very fair, but very hard. That's why he told him to kill all the guards that let Ramsay come in and burn their supplies. He just isn't going to give anybody a pass. Nobody gets a free ride with Stannis. On to number 5 though, Jon Snow brings the survivors through to the other side of the wall. As he said, he views the mission as a failure because they barely got anybody, but they did manage to get out with some of the wildlings, so they do have more people now. There was a real question though as to whether or not Alliser Thorne was going to let them through the gate. I was surprised how quickly he did it. You got a good heart, Jon Snow. It's going to get us all killed. It's interesting that you see more hate coming off the faces of the regular Night's Watch brothers. Alliser Thorne doesn't seem like he harbors that much of a grudge right now. That's okay though, it seems like Ollie hates Jon Snow enough for the two of them. You have to remember that almost like 50 of them died trying to keep the wildlings from coming through that gate that they just walked through. That's why it was really sad when 1-1 came through and everyone flipped. 1-1 is the name of the giant that survived. Remember, the other one was killed in the tunnel by Gren. Long live Gren the Giant Slayer. So everything that they were trying to prevent from happening last season just happened. That's why they hate Jon Snow so much. On to number 4, everybody versus Hizdar. So you have Hizdar throwing shade at Dario, who throws shade right back at him. Then you have Tyrion mincing words with him. And I like Tyrion's comment that Tywin would have totally loved Hizdar. Killing is necessary. What progress has been made without killing? As nuts as Dario's idea about pulling a red wedding on the noble houses of Meereen seemed a couple weeks ago, it doesn't seem like such a bad idea now. The problem is if you kill a lot of people, no matter why you do it, it's really hard to call yourself a good person. That's the internal battle that's going on in Daenerys right now. Just like Stannis has his own internal battle trying to decide whether or not to sacrifice his daughter. What does Daenerys have to do to become the person she was meant to be? Probably kill a few people. But, it was just fun watching everyone throw shade at Hizdar. So far he seemed pretty innocuous, but I felt like they were telegraphing in these moments that they wanted you to view him as the bad person. Hizdar is all about the old way, Daenerys is about the new. So, out with the old, in with the new. On to number 3, Ser Jorah enters the fighting pit. It's pretty clear that Daenerys wants to help him, but can't do anything. And obviously in reference to the Dance of the Dragons title, Ser Jorah dances with a lot of these other fighters, just barely makes it out, but he is a badass fighter, so he does win. The reason I think that everyone was booing him is because he was a Westerosi knight, and they were cheering for the local fighters. A lot of the people hate Daenerys because they still view her as an invading force. She's from another culture, and she isn't respecting theirs, so I think that's why they hated Ser Jorah so much, because he represented that. The announcer made it very clear to announce to everyone that Jorah was a Westerosi knight, so no matter what he did, people probably weren't going to like him. Moving on to number 2 though, Doran Martell lets Jaime go back to King's Landing with Myrcella, but he has to take Trystane with him. This is a small change from the books, so whenever Tyrion arranged for Myrcella to go to Dorne way back in Season 2 before Blackwater, part of the deal was he gave the Martells a seat on the small council. That's from the books. They didn't really address that on the show until now. Oberyn was originally supposed to take the seat. He died, so now there's an empty seat that belongs to a Martell. In the books, it ends up being Obara to go to King's Landing and sit on the small council, so it's still a Martell, but a different one. There wasn't much of a climax this week in the Dorne storyline, aside from the slap fight that was going on. Everybody gets slapped, Sand Snakes and Bronn. It was nice of Ellaria Sand to tell Jaime, I know exactly what's going on with you and Cersei, and it's no big deal. If you'd been born a Targaryen, or a long time ago, wouldn't have been anything. And finally, for my number 1, just because there was so much internal screaming this week, I split it between Shireen Baratheon being put to the torch and Daenerys riding Drogon. Let's start with our sweetheart Shireen. This was the saddest moment, I think, all season. Seriously, I can't remember anything else that's made me this upset. Who's going to read stories to Sir Davos now? And what's going to happen to Stannis now that it looks like he's killed the only thing that he loves? I'm sure he cares about Selyse, but it seems like Shireen was like the purest expression of his love. Even Crazy Pants Selyse was like, this is a terrible idea. She's a good barometer for the audience in this moment. You see like the spectrum of emotions that cross her face. From like, okay, we need to do this, all the way to, oh my god, no, this is happening. Here's a good question for you guys. Were you more upset about what happened to Sansa with Ramsay in episode 6, or about Shireen being put to the torch? Moving on to Daenerys and Drogon though, this had actually been spoiled last year a little bit in a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, so we knew it was going to happen. It's a big moment from the books. Drogon comes down into Daznak's pit, roasts a bunch of people, then takes off with Daenerys. It was incredibly cathartic, and she even does like her Jedi mind trick. That's not in the books, so the show is kind of making a logic leap there. She has a connection with Drogon, but the books never fully explain the nature of that. Dragon bonding gets tied up in a little bit of blood magic, a little bit of sorcery. It's very complicated. Hopefully the books will explain it at some point. I felt like the CG of him taking off, like the skyline and the pyramid in the background, looked way better than the CG of him landing when he flew in. He didn't look quite as big as I imagined him. But I'm really glad that they did not wait to the finale to do this. I know I didn't mention it either, but we also have Arya's story with Meryn Trant. I'm a little happier that they did save that for the finale, because they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't going to be just some mind-blowing scene that she was going to have. They want there to be no question about how evil Meryn Trant is. I actually thought when they trotted Arya in with the oysters, he was going to be like, oh, perfect age, let's do it. He almost made it sound like he was going to destroy that serving girl that he walked off with. Like, why would he need another tomorrow night if he wasn't going to do something terrible to the one he had this night? And it's pretty clear that Jaqen knows exactly what's going on. Oh, he wasn't hungry, maybe tomorrow. And Jaqen's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're doing, maybe tomorrow. It's all the same to the many-faced god. But I'll be interested to see what Jaqen does if Arya actually does end up killing Meryn Trant. That's actually another good question. Do you think that if Arya ends up killing Meryn Trant, that Jaqen will make her leave? Next week's episode is the finale. It's called Mother's Mercy. That could mean a lot of things. Mercy as in Daenerys, as the mother of dragons, shows some mercy. In the books, Arya took the name Mercy when she was on a mission like this. Then we have like the Sansa Ramsay Bolton storyline. What does Mother's Mercy say about that? If there's anything that I'm really surprised about at this point, it's that they've drug out this Cersei storyline. I actually thought they'd have gotten to the trial by now. I'm wondering if they're going to send Jaime and Myrcella and everyone back to King's Landing before that happens. Usually the duration of the finales is a little bit longer, so they have a little bit more room to do extra stuff. So now's the time to make predictions for the finale. So I'll totally do like season 6 predictions once we get through, but it's a little early because there's still so many things that they could change from the books in the last episode. As much as they've been moving really quickly through books 4 and 5, I feel like season 6 will include some stuff that they've cut out from previous books. We can talk about that in a couple weeks. And don't forget, tomorrow is the Q&A. I'll announce the winner of the giveaway. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. Just in case you guys didn't see it, I did a bonus video today all about Asai and dragons and how the history of those two are connected. You can click here to watch that, and you can click here for last week's episode. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.